New England. Quaint little buildings, lots of red brick. It's a place where Colonial and Cape Cod speaks of style. It also speaks of history and the early days of our country. It's such a beautiful area where you see a ship like this and you're not surprised. A lighthouse, just part of the scenery. It's a place where politicians go to make announcements.
So you're probably wondering why Kathy and I are in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. I am running for president in 2016.
In New England, fall is king. It's the best season of all, and we get to visit family, see lots of beautiful scenery, and introduce you to a place that maybe you've never been before. So join us as we take you to New England, New Hampshire, Cape Cod, and Maine. I'm not dead. That sounds like something interesting. Portsmouth, New Hampshire is such a great little town. They have a town square, fall is in the air, people are everywhere, tourists are all over the place. This is a place where people get together in a town square still to have coffee, and you look out on maritime business. This is where boats and ships and seaports are still a major part of what they do. They build their life around the water. It's also a place where new buildings start looking like old buildings. Yeah, they care about how things look over there, and they want to make sure that everything fits in with that old-time New England look. It really is beautiful. And for an Oregonian, it's almost a foreign country. It's almost like visiting Europe because everything's skinny little streets and little walkways, lots of little shops. Portsmouth is a place where an old cemetery really is an old cemetery. I mean, really old. People were having a ball teasing me and texting me saying, "What are you doing in Portsmouth, New Hampshire? Isn't that where presidential candidates go to announce?" So we decided to play along.
So you're probably wondering why Kathy and I are in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, and it is to announce that I am running for president in 2016, and we came here to announce because that's where candidates come to do that. So I don't know what party I'm going to be with, probably none, but I'm sure Bernie and Donald will be calling me any day. So that's why we're in New Hampshire. We just couldn't keep it a secret any longer.
A working man's tugboat becomes scenery to a nearby restaurant where people sit on the deck, slurping the suds, having some lobster, going out down on the streets shopping, and just enjoying themselves. New Hampshire, a great place. We recommend it. Go visit. We'll be back with much more from New England in just a minute. So as many of you know, November is now Movember, and the idea is, guys, to grow your facial hair. You're supposed to grow a mustache, but when I do a mustache, I look like a porn star. so I have a lot of hair right here. So I'm doing a beard this year, and I cheated. I started back on October 2nd. And so I've got a growth in here, but it's just fun. And people ask, "Rick, why you got your beard? Why are you growing why do you look like crap?" And then I can talk about prostate cancer. So it's an awareness thing. So, and it's kind of fun as a guy, you know, it gives you an excuse to grow your beard and look trashy for a couple of months. So anyway, back by the end of November, I'll be all cleaned up and shaven. But for the rest of the month, I'm gonna start looking more and more like that. So anyway, I'm gonna show you now a story that we did for the Willamette Valley Cancer Institute on my cancer, when I had prostate cancer in 2010, and the treatment that I got. So watch. When the phone rings and your doctor informs you you have cancer, life forever changes. I work in the television video production industry. I do online videos and decided after a lot of thinking to make my cancer very public. So here's the thing. I have cancer, prostate cancer.
and I'm just shocked, just kind of stunned and numb and scared and afraid.
My diagnosis came in January of 2010. I didn't want to die, but I also, to be honest, I didn't want to lose my ability to have an erection. I mean, that's a big concern for a guy.
I'm not afraid this is going to kill me. Prostate cancer is really treatable. I'm afraid of the process. I just don't want to do it. I don't want to live with cancer.
In my late 40s, my PSA jumped. At first, the PSA was 2, then 4, and that's when the biopsies began. It took 5 years and 5 biopsies to find cancer. My PSA was hovering at 20 when the cancer was discovered. That was the horrible process. We felt so alone while we were looking for a treatment. And I remember we'd go to doctor appointment after doctor appointment, and every time we'd come out, we just sit there and cry all the way home. The internet was even worse. The most talked about treatments always came with a host of possible side effects. Your temptation is to move quickly. You hear cancer and just want to get it out of your body. I resisted the temptation and took several months finding the treatment that was right for me, and I'm so glad I did. I wish in those early days we'd had a team of specialists like those at the Willamette Valley Cancer Institute to talk with us about all the options, not just the usual treatments. So you can't rely on friends and relatives or other men in your life who've had prostate cancer and do what they did. You really have to go through this process yourself and figure out what's the best treatment for you, or whether you really want to get treated at all at this point. Cancer did change my life, but not in the ways I thought it would. We chose a treatment that worked for us. Yes, this is not just your decision. Your wife needs to be part of that process. I think attitude is a huge part of cancer treatment, survival, and moving on. I didn't have to fight cancer. I had to fight Rick Dancer, me. Surviving cancer did have lasting effects on our lives. We discovered how much stronger we are and how short time really is when you think about it. We now do triathlons, our first half marathon. We cycle Oregon and try things we never dreamed of trying before. I'm not trying to glamorize cancer. There is nothing beautiful about it. But cancer let me stare death in the face and then walk away. There is something powerful in the gift of survival. Guys, the best advice I can give after going through this process is don't rush into anything. First of all, determine whether you need to be treated with your different doctors that you're going to go visit. If you do decide on treatment, look at the side effects and make sure you're comfortable with what's going to happen or what could happen. And then remember, you will get through this. Life is good now. My PSA is down to 0 for the first time in a decade. My side effects from the treatment are minimal. I look back at this video and remember that day like it was yesterday.
That's kind of where we're at. So keep praying, and I thank you. It'll get better. It'll get better. It'll get better.
I was right. It is getting much better. Bar Harbor, Maine is located on Mount Desert Island. It's the largest offshore island off the lower 48. For hundreds of years, tourists have come here. Bar Harbor is just one port on this very big island, but it's a place where the locals say the weather stays better than other parts of the island.
So we're sitting in Bar Harbor, and all around us is clouds coming from the other way. I'll show you here. And and they tell us that the reason for that is that the weather system comes in from the other side of the island, and that there's so much granite on the top of the mountain that we think that it heats up and comes up around there, and it keeps the clouds from coming this direction. Now, I don't know if that's what a weatherman would tell you, but that's what the guy at the bike shop said, and right now, I believe the guy at the bike shop.
Cruise ships are big business on Bar Harbor. They anchor just offshore, and thousands of tourists come to town every day. It's overwhelming in October, but they say in the summer it's just amazing. Lobster is everywhere. That's what people do here. Fishermen, you can stand right on the dock and watch them bringing in crate after crate of lobster. And you don't have to just find it in the stores. Lobsters are everywhere. It's on everything. It's a huge deal. Lobster, lobster, lobster. Well, and there's that other crustacean that gets a little attention.
There's a really cool trail you can walk around. It lines the waterfront, loops around and back around town. You can see lots of really cool old houses and beautiful scenery of the ocean and the port and those cruise ships. Fall really is a good time to go to Bar Harbor or northern Maine. A lot of the tourists have gone. There's still people there, but in the summer they say you can hardly get a reservation at a restaurant. It's really expensive, and it's just a good time when you get there in the fall, just as the season's beginning to shut down. You see, by November, the island will completely shut down, leaving only a few hundred residents left here to watch the stores and watch people's homes. Bar Harbor really is a cool-looking little town. My wife would describe it as cute. But it is a good time, like I said, to go there because everything's on clearance at the end of the season. They're trying to get rid of it. And you can go and find all kinds of room for you to go to Bar Harbor Tea Company. Or there's even a place that kind of reminded me a little bit of Eugene. Not cool as a moose. There you go. The Emporium. Little Eugene everywhere. And Stone Soup. There it's a restaurant. Back here it's Jan Elliott in a cartoon. Lots of history, lots of restaurants, lots of places to visit, and a lot of outside seating because this really is a summer town, and winter is when everything is closed down. Down on the waterfront, you got pubs, lots of places to stay. There's that lobster again, and some really good food. That was one of our favorite restaurants right there. People sitting on the street, drinking coffee. But by the end of the summer, the people who wait on you at the restaurants are a little tired of tourists.
So here's what we've learned about New England when you go out to eat. You never ask for things to be different. You don't ask for a side salad if it doesn't say it on the menu. you don't question the waiter or waitress about anything because they give you this look. And then they walk away and it's very awkward. So that's my word of warning to anyone coming to New England is don't ask questions, just eat your damn food.
The East Coast really is different from the West. People are nice. I mean, they're nice, but there's an abruptness that you don't experience much in the Northwest. History, though, is everywhere, and you find places, beautiful, beautiful homes, lots of places to stay, and it's just a charming feel to it as you're sitting out watching the boats, looking at the water. A lot of famous names and old money are in this community, or were. There's even this little plaque. There's a walking tour you can do by yourself, shows some of the old homes, and then you actually walk down the streets and see some of those homes that are still here. And the relatives of them still own these places, and their families have been coming here for generation after generation. And here's something really cool. Right by those homes, see that road that goes across the other island? Well, actually, during high tide, that's covered with water. So when the tide goes out, people go out to find it. We'll be right back with more on our trip to New England. Something big is happening at McDonald's. Something really big.
Our muffins are made with 8 grams of whole grains.
More local products.
In our McMuffin line, we use real butter, not margarine.
They're cracked fresh eggs.
Fresh, cracked eggs.
We're committed to cage-free eggs, which is going to be in effect over the next 10 years. So our hash browns are sourced right here in the Northwest.
Healthier options.
We have several menu items that are under 300 calories. We got the fruit and yogurt parfait, we got the egg McMuffin, and the oatmeal.
McCafe Premium Coffee.
Our coffee is 100% Arabica beans. We're rainforest certified, and it is a fine cup of coffee.
All made your way, breakfast all day.
Did you know that more than 120,000 tweets this year alone were about people begging for all-day breakfast? Well, we're so excited to finally be giving it to them.
My name's Christian, and today Whitney and I are here at the Ducks game to surprise everyone at the tailgate party with McDonald's All Day Breakfast. Are you ready?
Let's go.
McDonald's All Day Breakfast! Yeah!
We've been waiting for that.
Go Ducks!
Seriously, we've been waiting for that.
Yes, we have been waiting for All Day Breakfast, actually.
All right, so McDonald's has breakfast all day now,
Yeah.
so you can get breakfast at any time at McDonald's.
Oh, yeah!
All day now, it's opened up my world.
People love our breakfast. And then they had to set their alarms. They had to be here by 10:30 or 10:29, and no longer do they have to do that.
We're going to make an egg McMuffin for you.
We have 7 operators in our advertising co-op here. Roseburg, Coos Bay, North Bend, Corvallis, Port Springfield, and Eugene. So, and all the McDonald's, again, are locally owned and operated in Oregon and most states. There's 90% of all the stores are owned by people like myself, and a lot of us started behind the counters, just like all these folks that you see. Well, I've done this, like I said, for 38 years. My very first job when I turned 16. I've done many, many roles in McDonald's, but I've owned the restaurants here for 18 years. And it's because of the people to my left and the people to my right. I love, you know, taking somebody on their first journey with a job, or, you know, somebody that's looking for something part-time and they have opportunities to grow just like me. And I love interacting with the customers. It's high energy.
We should be happy that these restaurants are local and locally owned because we're committed to our community. That means everything we do is community-centered.
We're involved in a lot of the schools. We hold McTeacher nights and fundraising. We get involved with other nonprofits. We get involved in Relief Nursery and Birth to 3 and all of those things, besides supporting our local Ronald McDonald House charities.
We do everything unique to Eugene. That's why we're here celebrating the Ducks game, being there with all the community, the students, the families. What better time to promote all-day breakfast than with our favorite people, the Ducks.
I'm loving it. Go Ducks. Breakfast at McDonald's all day.
What? Breakfast all day? What?
Breakfast at McDonald's all day! You are actually asking the right person because I have to get there before 10:30. Are you kidding me? Not anymore!
We felt right at home for a few days. Well, the Oregon we remember from a long time ago. While we were there, some of those storms that were coming up the eastern seaboard just nailed us.
On the island, pouring down rain. Look at that. Ugly. So, this is where the lighthouse is, the Bass Lighthouse, which sits out on one of the lightest points in Maine. And it's just down there. But our problem is, we are sitting in the car trying to decide whether we're going to go down there with all these other idiots. So, being that we are probably the only Oregonians here,
Seems like we're probably going to have to go out in the rain.
We probably should go because we're not like New England
Even
wussies.
though I got my sandals on and a little teeny
We got our little raincoats on and we have just pants, like jeans. But
we'll be wet.
We'll be really wet, and we didn't bring a towel. Because if we take a towel out of our bed and breakfast, we get in trouble. Never take a towel out of the bed and breakfast. We did it this morning to go to the pool, and we were scolded by looks.
Sorry about the shaky video, but man, it was stormy. We'll be right back with more from the eastern seaboard and our trip to New England.
Name a scenario right here. Have you ever been with your friends at home, hanging out, and you don't want to leave anywhere, but you guys are starving? And you guys are like arguing like, oh, who delivers or whatever? We have a solution. A genius idea that someone came up with, and it's hungryducks.com. They have over 40 restaurants that you can pick and choose from. They go, they bring it to you, and it's so fast. You can actually track them on the internet. You just go on your computer and you can track them, and when they get here, hungryducks.com. It's genius.
I don't know if you've seen this. It's a relatively new magazine on the streets of Eugene and in Lane County. It's called Lane Monthly. And I love this thing because it's kind of an in-between magazine, between Eugene Magazine and Eugene Weekly. All kinds of interesting stuff on things going on in the community, and it's free. So you can support them and also support your community. But the best part for me is you can actually find out what's going on in town and around the area by reading this. Innovative, interesting stories, and it's really got a nice feel to it. So find it all over town, free, in the boxes. It's Lane Monthly. Don't forget. This is Cape Cod, and oh man, it is such a big place. I never realized how big the peninsula really is, but it's huge. There's a dozen little towns around there. This is Chatham, one of the most beautiful, we thought. Lots of places to eat, little shops, looks very Cape Cod-ish. Only problem with New England is they don't know how to make good coffee. Okay, now I'm officially desperate. They don't have good coffee on the East Coast, that's my opinion. And we've looked everywhere for a coffee shop. Probably should have got the last place because they had coffee, but now I am gonna go into Dunkin' Donuts and get a coffee because everybody raves about Dunkin' Donuts coffee, so I'll let you know what I think, but this is really hard out. Everything in New England looks like a postcard. We saw this church and went and talked to a woman who was working there. They're doing a pumpkin sale to raise money, but it was just the most picturesque thing you've ever seen. It was just reeked of New England. Man, you couldn't make it look any cuter.
Isn't it beautiful? Yeah.
So is like pumpkins and Halloween is that really New England?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's a fundraiser actually for our church. So all of the proceeds go back to the Chatham Children's Fund.
So do people here on the East Coast, I'm from the West Coast,
okay.
Decorating is like part of living, isn't it?
Halloween's huge around here. So very fun. Everybody gets their mums and their pumpkins and decorates up.
Well, it kind of looks, it fits too, because you got the old, you guys have, it's beautiful.
Isn't it gorgeous? Absolutely. We love it here. So these all just came this morning. The whole congregation came out, took them out of the truck. It was great. Good stuff.
Just a picture postcard, charming, beautiful place. We love Chatham.
You have to keep an eye on this one. He might stuff it in his jacket when you're not looking.
And then we went on a trip, one of the days we were there, to Hyannisport. Obviously, that is the home of the Kennedys. There's a really cool museum there. And then there's this walk you can do, and it's a little guided tour with a map, and you walk along, and it shows different places where the Kennedys were known to be. So we followed that trail along, and then you end up at this really cool memorial for JFK. So as a kid, I always had... he was kind of like a hero to me, Bobby Kennedy, and I was only 10 years old when he died. And I don't know what it was about him, but I think it was the same thing that it was for a lot of people. So to be here in a place where their family was kind of revered and it felt like their home, it's just a really interesting feeling. It was cool for me because I remember growing up watching the old newsreels with my parents of the Kennedys. They were big fans, and we'd see all these places where the Kennedys would be out in their sailboat, and now here we are in that very port. Very, very cool. Now these are the ferries that take people over to Martha's Vineyard in Nantucket. And I did a little research, talked to some more people. We really did love it there, and I found out why people can be so abrupt to tourists. So remember the other day when I was making fun of some of the wait staff in Bar Harbor because of their rudeness? And some of them are very rude. But did a little research, talked to some folks involved in the industry who are locals, and they said there's a reason people are snotty. It says because they get so used to people from the cruise ships and tourists coming in and being so rude and so snotty, by the end of the summer they've just had it. And they said, you get 10 minutes of interaction with these people and they treat you like dirt, and after a while you just don't care anymore. So you got to give them somewhat of a break, because I couldn't do that if people were treating me like garbage all the time. So I think you kind of get what you put into life. And by the end of the summer, I think the staff just has had it. So yeah, you gotta, you do a little research, but it is kind of funny because it can be, as somebody coming in new who's trying to be nice and all of a sudden people are treating you so rude, it's a little distracting. But, just like always, there seems to always be a reason for something. So anyway, giving them a break.
Hi, Michael Coombs, and I'm here to talk about the special thing on RDTV TV that he has all set up with Ranchito Grill over off of Mohawk in Springfield. They have a $6.95 lunch special, and I'm telling you, this is the best Mexican food in the area. It's so delicious. But they're giving away 2 free dinners. All you have to do is go there, sign up, and you can win 2 free dinners, and it's so delicious, I'm telling you. Go down there, check it out. RDTV TV.
One of the highlights of our trip was Arcadia National Park. This is a huge park. Now I want to get to this really quick so you can see this. These are horse and buggies. They still go on these old carriage roads that were built back when the park was created. This is how people got around, and there's 45 miles of these really hard-packed gravel. So we rented hybrid bikes and we rode on these trails, and we did way more than 45 miles, but we kind of looped around and came back around. Oh, and I know we don't have helmets on, but that's because we couldn't get them that day. We did wear our helmets when we rode our road bikes we rented and went all the way around the entire island 60 miles. But this day we couldn't get them. So anyway, we're riding on these trails and you're seeing so much beautiful scenery, and there's very well marked. We got lost a couple of times, but it is an absolutely beautiful park. There's all kinds of kayaking, there's swimming in the summertime. When we were there, it was a little bit cold to swim, but Kathy and I just enjoyed the heck out of this. And if you're a biker or a cyclist, this is the place you want to go. Some of the roads are one way and you can only go one direction, and on these carriage roads, no cars are allowed. So it's just you, your bike, the beautiful scenery, and a packed lunch. So Kathy and I had a great time on the East Coast, and I think it just makes you appreciate where you live all the more. Beautiful place, love the houses, love the scenery, and it's so different from Oregon. But you know what always makes you want to go home and be back to where you belong. And yeah, so I think that's what I like the best about traveling, is that you realize how much you do care about the place where you live. And you appreciate, I think, the people, and in my case, good coffee and good beer. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed our little trip to the East Coast, and we're really glad to be back in Oregon. Prostate cancer didn't kill me. Running for Secretary of State didn't kill me. Even working in the news industry for 20 years didn't kill me. I'm not dead. People keep asking me, Rick, what are you doing now?